The former Deputy National Security Advisor of India has admitted on camera that assassinating Khalistani Sikhs overseas was a justifiable act by his government, implying that Hardeep Singh Nijjar and Gurpatwant Singh Pannun may indeed have been the targets of Indian assassins. Although the Indian government has officially denied any involvement in the murder of Nijjar or the attempted murder of Pannun, Pankaj Saran, who has since left the NSA, admitted during an interview with Australia's ABC News that the murder of individuals like Nijjar and Pannun would be wholly justified by India.
Do you think there's a scenario where Indian agents are justified in killing overseas citizens?
Theoretically speaking, if someone has to defend your country against threats which you perceive to be are of your core national interest, then all means are fair. This is the practice that has been followed since time immemorial by every nation on earth. This is nothing unique or specific to India. So at a conceptual, theoretical level, of course, every nation has the responsibility to protect and defend itself.
Whilst Western democratic experts would agree with the basic premise of defending their nations against genuine threats, they would fundamentally disagree with the legality of assassinating individuals on other nations' sovereign territory, particularly those who were not a military threat to that country, but instead simply a political opponent, forced overseas to be able to freely express their democratic opinion.
Was Hardeep Singh Nijjar a threat to India?
They threaten India's unity and territorial integrity, and therefore they strike at the foundations of the Indian state.
And this is why India's actions have been so widely condemned. Those Khalistan campaigners targeted by India have simply campaigned for an independent state, in the same way as, for example, Scottish independence campaigners have continued to do so in the UK, as is their democratic right. But despite Scottish campaigners threatening the territorial integrity of the United Kingdom, they have not been cynically labelled as terrorists just because they hold an opposing view to the British government. Whereas the Indian government, who have violently suppressed any discussion of an independent Khalistan, has labelled Khalistan activists as terrorists, a tactic now increasingly used by the country against its political opponents, allowing it to use oppressive anti-terrorist laws to imprison and silence them.
India wanted him and members of his group extradited.
This was something that had been shared along with many other dossiers. We've had, I believe, almost 25 extradition requests that have been put across to the Canadians. And we have basically told them this is all the material that there is, and all that we're asking you is to return them back to India so that they can be tried as per law.
However, despite India presenting all its so-called evidence to the Canadian government, each case was thoroughly examined in detail through the due process of law and rejected, stating there was no evidence of terrorist activity by the individuals. So India's failure to silence its critics overseas through legal means may explain why the country has now resorted to such terrible and illegal measures to silence its critics permanently. You've been watching Satellite TV News. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button to make sure you get to see stories as they're broadcast. And of course, if you have any comments or opinions on any of our news stories, you can comment below. Or indeed drop us a direct message at message@satellitetv.com. We do like to hear from you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. For Satellite TV News, I'm Angus Scott in London.